right, what's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me on another episode of The Art and the Artist. I'm here today with Rick Boling.
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks for coming.
No, thank you for your time. So we are in the Bendix Building downtown, and I saw Rick's work at an open studio. So I came here, I checked it out, and thought I had messaged him before, and I didn't. And when I did, we set this up, and here we are today. So let's get right into it. So where are you from, and where are you located now?
Yeah, so I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and I'm living and working here in Los Angeles. I live downtown and work downtown, obviously.
All right, so was it always the plan to come to LA, or was it for school, or was it something else that brought you down here?
My fiance, Tiffany, she started grad school at UCLA in 2020. And the first year of her program was virtual. So we were able to stay in St. Louis, stay in our house. But then in 21, they went back to fully in-person classes.
Sure.
So we had kind of like anticipated coming to Los Angeles for that school.
Okay.
But then it got held up because of the COVID stuff.
Oh, sure. Sure.
And then we had that kind of year buffer. Then that following year, we came out so she could finish her program out here in person, which was great.
Nice. Okay. All right. So you had no idea what was going on in the art scene in LA when you got down here?
No,
not at all.
no. I knew it would be good.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, I was like, it's LA or New York.
Yeah.
And that's where she was looking at grad schools.
Yeah.
So I told her, you know, we can go anywhere in the country as long as it's Los Angeles or New York. Because you just like what I thought at the time was that it would have more energy. Sure. It would have, you know, there's more trade here. There's more of a market here. Yeah. But coming out here, that was really confirmed for me.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's like on a different level. So.
Yeah. Being downtown too. I mean, this is kind of. I mean, I would, any artist, if you're going to come down to LA, this is a good place to start. Absolutely.
Downtown?
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's where it's at.
Okay. So how did you end up here in the Bendix Building? I assume you didn't have this place right, you know, when you guys moved out here.
You're right. Yeah. It's like, I was working out of our 450 square foot studio apartment that we got in Hollywood.
Sure.
And then we had a parking spot in the parking garage. And so once I couldn't work in our apartment very well, I would just pull the car out and work in the parking spot in the parking garage. And like, we didn't have a kitchen table in our apartment because we had an easel instead. So that's kind of how it started. That was like the first year or so. Funnily enough, the first art space that I went to was the Bendix Building when I got out here.
Okay.
And I thought it was beautiful. Like, oh, this is amazing. Yeah. It felt very far away at that time. But then, you know, as months passed and we got more settled in Los Angeles, more like used to the cost of living.
Yeah.
Then I was able to start to kind of plan for a studio.
Okay.
And, I was really fortunate to meet a good friend of mine now. His name's Dennis, and he was also looking for space. Okay. So we went in on this place together.
Oh, nice.
Which really helped. And so we just got through our 1 year anniversary here in the Bendix.
Okay. Oh, awesome.
Just signed back up, re-up. So
yeah. Oh, congrats,
that's kind of how it went. Yeah.
Yeah, that's dope. Yeah. If you guys get a chance, come check out this building. It's fantastic. Lots of great artists here. I interviewed Jonah Elijah here. Shout out Jonah Elijah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so when you're in St. Louis, take me back all the way back. When you're younger, were you always an artistic person? Were you drawing and painting even then?
Yeah, my whole life.
Really? Yeah. Awesome. So it wasn't a surprise to your family then when you turned into the artist that you are now?
Yeah, I don't think it was a surprise. I think it was some of their fears getting confirmed.
Yeah.
They're worried about me.
Of course.
They supported me, and I had a lot of support. But I don't come from a family who has experience in the art market.
Sure.
I come from a family of artists and creative people.
Yeah.
But their creativity is expressed in different ways.
Okay.
And when I was 16 is when I told everyone, like, I'm going to be an artist.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I'm going to do. I had a really great high school teacher.
Okay.
I was like, this is what I'm going to do. And they were like, all right, like, maybe graphic design.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And I did for a while.
Okay.
But art has always been at the core of my life. And now they get it a little bit better.
Yeah. Once sales start coming in there.
Like, wait,
family understands.
you can do that?
Awesome. All right, so hold on. Did you go to art school at all? Or did you go to school for graphic design? Did you kind of do that to placate the family?
No, I went to school for painting.
Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah,
awesome.
I went to the Kansas City Art Institute.
Oh, great.
I was there for a little bit. It was an amazing program. Me and school just don't really get along.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot there. I had an amazing time there. But then I ended up leaving, and I pursued healing arts for a while, massage therapy.
Yeah, sure.
I worked at a sensory deprivation tank center.
Nice. Yeah.
And then I ended up becoming the creative director for their whole brand. Oh, nice. So that did include graphic design.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it's incredible. Yeah.
It was cool.
Excuse me.
But it wasn't everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't enough.
Yeah. No, I get it. Yeah. When you look at the artwork that you have, you can't bottle that stuff in, that's for sure.
Thank you.
All right, awesome. All right, so when did you first, let me take it back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So your first medium was always paint. Was it oil painting, acrylic paints, or?
Yeah, I started painting in acrylic in high school. Mm-hmm. Just because that was what was accessible.
Sure.
House paint, latex paint. Anything I could kind of get my hands on. Mm-hmm. In the summer before I went to Kansas City Art Institute, my art teacher hooked me up with a bunch of like old ratty oil paints that she had accumulated. And that was amazing because I had never painted with them before.
Oh, really? Okay.
And then when I was in school in the painting department, we focused on oil painting there. Mm-hmm. And oil painting really just has always held a special place in my heart.
Okay.
So I do that a lot. And the other medium that I like, and we can get into this a little bit later, but is automotive paint.
Oh, interesting.
Polyurethane and nail.
Okay, sure. Yeah, because I read with the checkered flag series that you have, and a lot of the crowd paintings that you have. It looks like NASCAR stands. And I read that you were very much into cars growing up. Okay. You know what? Then let me get into first the checkered flag series, because when I found out about that, I thought that was very, very interesting. Okay. There was a quote that you had on your website. The checkered flag is such a universal symbol for completion. This series is about endings in our lives that are both celebratory and sad. I thought that was very interesting. And the way that you had designed the checkered flags, almost kind of worn out, the journey has ended, you've won, but that is kind of a faded memory. That's kind of what I took from it. Mm-hmm. Okay, now what was the sort of the meaning behind that series that you wanted to put together?
Yeah, the meaning behind that series was ending, celebration and grief, and kind of like the crux, like the intersection of like when something's over, it's over. And sometimes it's a celebration, and sometimes it's something that you grieve, and sometimes it's like both at the same time. Yeah. And I think that when things complete or when things end, they just have this amazing confluence of emotions that I really try to spend time with and understand. Endings take on all of these different characteristics.
Sure.
Sometimes things just like fade away.
Yeah.
And it's a year before you realize something ended.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, like when a family member passes or something, there's a moment that like on one side of it, life was one way. On the other side of it, life was another. But it's kind of talking about the same thing as things end, things complete, things finish.
Yeah.
So the checkered flag is that because like, you wave that, and for the person that comes in first, it's everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, there are all these different emotions as you go back in the grid as like, person in place 20 feels way different at the end of that, right?
Yeah.
But then it's not just the end. That's not, it then like is the marker of like, okay, like all of that preparation that we did.
Sure.
This was the result. Yeah. And then now we get to learn and move on to our preparations for the next thing, for the next result.
Yeah. Awesome. I want to talk about cars then. So how do cars come into play? How has that had an impact on your life growing up?
My dad is a car painter.
Oh, okay. Oh, awesome.
Yeah. And he also, would sell cars, just like fix them up. Yeah. I got to see kind of firsthand that side of business of like, I would ride around with him, we would drive to the car dealerships. Mm-hmm. You remember like Cash for Clunkers?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So when those dealerships, when the federal program like Cash for Clunkers was going, there was really heavily incentivized for dealerships, new car dealerships, to buy people's used cars, and they would get an additional amount of money for doing that, and the person who got a new car would get some money for doing it during that program. Mm-hmm. So for instance, like when that was happening, we would ride around in whatever car he was driving that day. We would go to these dealerships. He had connections with all these people, and he would buy those cars from the dealership. The ones that were like broken or busted that they didn't want to sell on their used car lots. Take them to his house, fix them up, work on them or paint them or, body work, all of that. I got to learn how to do all of that as a kid. Yeah. And then he had a relationship with a different used car lot. So then he would go over there and sell them to them.
Oh, awesome.
So he was just like hustling.
Yeah, hustling, serious hustling.
So my whole life, it was just, that was like my whole life growing up. Yeah. And plus he loved cars too. So, he'd have projects and we'd put sound systems into them. And, he would have his little project cars. Like I remember he had this like 04 Chevy Avalanche. Okay. And he got it like pretty new, and he just like stripped it all down and put this crazy like burnt orange paint job on it. It was on 24s. Yeah. And that was like, that was back when 24s, you didn't see 24s. Yeah. So
that's dope.
Yeah, I just like, it took me a while, in my artistic practice. It was always a part of my creative practice, but it took me a while to actually understand that like, that was so important to my upbringing. Mm-hmm. Is that like we made our mark on the world through these cars. Yeah. And like people turned their heads when we were driving around in these cars. Sure. Like that's how we let people know that we were here. Yeah. And we meant something. Yeah. Like we were, so.
That's awesome, man. That's super dope. Okay. So then, all right, let me get into some of these crowd paintings first, okay? There's a couple I had kind of singled out, but I guess it doesn't really matter. But I guess we'll talk about there's one called Umbrellas. And it looks
That's the one behind us.
Oh, yes, this one right here, okay? A lot of race car scenes also. Yeah. All right, so these are fascinating pieces, okay? I still remember the first time seeing them. I remember seeing this one right here when I came in, right?
Oh, that's the orange, the flare? Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's, clearly you can see the crowd work, but then it's almost like an anonymous scene, like an anonymous crowd. Tell me the sort of meaning in the way that you capture the crowd, where it's not, where the detail is in sort of the unfocused sort of view of it, if that makes sense.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. I can tell you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I want these paintings to capture anonymous moments of social celebration.
Yeah. Okay.
So you can kind of see some of the threads, like when talking about completions, there's like this celebration element.
Yeah.
So I just love like these happy moments of celebration, you know? And then to go back to my dad, like he worked so hard so we could go to the drag strip or to the race or to have these moments of like being in the crowd. Yeah. And I think it's so much more about being in the crowd sometimes than it is about whatever's going on.
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah.
Because they have this like relationship. So when like I started these after I went to the Drake Kanye show at the Coliseum out here. And it was the first time that I was in a crowd after like we couldn't be in crowds for a while. Sure. And I was just like, oh, like all of these people, like these are my people. Yeah. Like these are my friends. These are people that I feel connected to. And that's how I feel when I go to a race, when I go to a Formula One race or when I go to a NASCAR event. Like the NASCAR event at the Coliseum was crazy. Oh, yeah. You went to that?
Yeah, that's insane. I saw it on TV. Yeah, that looked wild.
It's like how you build a racetrack inside of a stadium.
At the Coliseum. That's crazy. Insane. Yeah.
Okay. So I go to those places and I just feel like, these are my people. Like we have something in common. We know we have something in common. And we all cheer together. Like, you know, when something happens or a goal is scored or something, you know, you high five people that you don't even know.
Yeah, you're right.
There's something about that. And I wanted to just capture that in the crowd. So it's not really about like the individual people who are attending, but it's about like what happens when people attend. Yeah,
like the shared experience of whatever's going on. And you know what, on a much smaller scale, just crowds, right? Sometimes the right crowd at an event, at a concert, even in a movie theater, can kind of set the tone for the whole
movie theater for sure.
All right, I saw. Now I'm really aging myself. I saw Snakes on a Plane in the movie theater. Right?
That's crazy. That's so cool.
The crowd in that movie theater was so much fun. You know, everyone was like, you know, whenever something would happen, the crowd would erupt. The theater, no one was telling anyone to be quiet.
No.
The entire theater was into it, you know? And so that's why that movie, although kind of corny, right? Like that movie means so much to me because I still remember that time in the theater when the whole, I don't know, pretty big, 80 people in there.
Everybody knew the assignment.
Yeah, was extremely enthusiastic. And they knew what they were watching Snakes on a Plane. I mean, come on. But just that experience because of that crowd, fantastic.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And I mean, you can go to other, like I went to a Prince concert one time. Crowd was really good, but my immediate crowd, there were some, I guess, I don't know, some European foreigners, which is fine. But I don't know if they just go to concerts differently, but they were all just sitting there like this, just watching the show, which is fine.
They're appreciating the art.
Yes, which made me feel like an asshole because I'm screaming and, you know, singing all the lyrics to the songs. And I'm thinking, oh, what if I'm throwing off their experience? They're kind of throwing off mine, but let's just enjoy it anyway.
Hey, it's the comments.
Yeah,
You know, I try to not hold back.
Yeah, oh yeah. I never do.
Because how many times are you going to be there, right? Yeah. No, that's how I felt. I felt that same way. I went to Cocaine Bear at the Alamo.
Okay, sure.
Like right when it first came out. And everybody was like ready for it.
Oh, okay.
You know, and I love that. Or Sharknado. I saw Sharknado in theaters.
Oh, did you?
It was like a special one-night screening.
Yeah. And
that was so crazy because everybody knew what they were going there for and what they were getting into.
Yeah, that's fantastic, man. I love that. And that's these crowd paintings are excellent. So hold on. So what gave you the idea to capture the crowd in that sort of way? Was it, like, I guess we kind of said before, it's not necessarily the individual or even the event, it's the experience of the event. So why not show the detail in the paintings?
I mean, it's a bit of a consequence of how I wanted to make the paintings.
Oh, sure.
You know, like these are like laborious paintings to make.
Yeah, I could tell.
They take a lot of work.
Yeah.
And that's something I really enjoy in my practice.
Okay.
Like, I love coming to the studio and like putting in reps, like putting in work and spending time just grinding out a painting. It feels like sanding a car. So part of it is a consequence of like what's possible. I'm trying to push the medium as far as I can within the bounds of what's reasonable. And it was kind of grew out of that, like what is a reasonable amount of definition in the crowd and a level of detail. And like, I don't really want them to be hyper realistic. I want them to kind of like be like camouflage or like, finding this way to integrate all of the people visually to create these patterns. But it's a mixture of like,
I dig it.
Also, I can't spend 120 hours on a painting at this point.
You're right. After all the work you already put into it. I had just a random idea, thought. Have you and your dad ever thought about painting a car with some of your artwork? Or even just a new original piece?
We do work on pieces together.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
so that
awesome.
Piece over there is I put my dad, like I'm in the process of putting my dad on the payroll.
Oh, okay.
Because that's like my dream is to like retire him out of having to work so hard. And he taught me like everything I know about how to paint cars. And we painted a car in 2020. We painted a Dodge Charger together. Nice. It was two-tone, black on the bottom, blue on top. And we just went through that process together. It was for a client, for one of his clients. And I just got to spend, 3 weeks in his garage with him painting this car. And then I was making this work on aluminum. And then I was like, okay, well, first of all, it got really hard to do it in LA because I had a garage at the house in St. Louis. So I had my whole setup there. So I was like, how do I make this work in Los Angeles? And I was like, I just got to go to the source. So it's been really fun because we've been able to collaborate on pieces together. And like collaborate's like the nice word, but like he works for me on these, which is really fun because it's a way to like switch up that hierarchy. And he's so good. He's so humble to be able to like take instruction from his crazy artistic son.
That's awesome, man.
So I taught him like the techniques of how I get certain like layers to come through in the sanding techniques. And
that's beautiful.
So I design the pieces. I send him stencils, and then we've developed like tools in our repertoire of how for me to explain how I want something to look. Been able to explain that to him. And so one of those pieces is actually in the show in St. Louis at the Luminary that's coming up. And then like the goal would be to do that more or to do a car or just to make it so that like he's so much better at it than me. He's, he's amazing at it. But like, if you're a car painter, if you work in a body shop, own a body shop, like it's such hard work. And he's getting a little older. He can still beat me up. He's still got my number, so don't get a different idea. But I want to work with him long term.
That's awesome.
Make it the family, continue the family business.
That's so cool.
Thank you.
So awesome. And you know what? Galleries out there, like a full car, like showpiece, that would be fantastic. I can commission that from them. All right, so do you think though that now you're maybe because working with cars is kind of an art in itself. Right?
Totally.
I didn't work on cars necessarily. I worked on a car. My dad had a '76 Cadillac Seville that
nice.
He would still be driving it if that engine didn't blow up. But yeah, so it was lots of repair. And I understand that, and then painting it also. But do you think now that with your dad working with you on pieces that maybe it's sort of opened his mind up a little bit more to just art in general about, how am I trying to say this, what art can be?
Yeah, that's been one of the most beautiful things about the whole process. So this blue piece over here and there's a white piece over here were the first two pieces that we did virtually. And after we got done with that, he just started sending me pictures of paintings that he was making on his own.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
He was like, I have this idea.
Yeah.
And I was like, that idea is cool, Dad, but like, that's not what we're doing.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, well, I'll just get the metal and do it myself.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Do that.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
There was one time we were on a phone call, and he said, he was talking about one of the pieces that he was working on for himself.
Yeah.
And he was like, I just don't know what happened. I just can't get these ideas out of my head until I do them.
Yeah.
And he just started like prolifically making paintings.
Yeah.
And
that's awesome.
That was really great. And then the other side of it was, it's this opportunity for us to talk on a weekly or twice a week basis where, you know, just naturally I'm like, okay, I'm talking to this gallery. gallery. We have this, like, I have this show coming up. I'm thinking about doing a sanded piece for it.
Yeah.
Like and then just having like a reason to talk to him on a regular basis has been so nice.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
Because then he gets it now a bit more.
Yeah.
And
I was making his own pieces.
and he's like,
great.
What do you think? You know, he's like plotting on stuff too, which is cool. But I think he understands what I'm doing a lot more now.
Okay.
Which feels really good too.
That's awesome.
Because I have like another person in my circle that I can bounce ideas off of or talk about art with. And it's not just some like strange alien thing that he has no contact with. Yeah. And he has contact with.
Yeah, he's doing it now. Yeah. Okay, so those sanded pieces, was that kind of a direct result of the time working with your dad and being around cars and just metal and things like that?
Bro, I was so stupid. I didn't even know. Like, I just started making them. Yeah. And didn't think about that at all. I was like, I've got an idea. Yeah. You know, it would be cool. I'll just spray different layers of spray paint on a piece of metal and I'll sand through them. And I did that for like 6 months before I realized, like,
I've done this before.
Yeah, like, what? Like, what's going on? Yeah. And that was really fun to experience. But then I was like, oh, okay. Like, I never thought I came from a family of artists before that. Sure. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You know, you did. I thought I came from a family of craftsmen or, you know, trade. Yeah. Yeah. But then I realized, oh, like, I come from a family of artists. Like, this is my heritage. This is my lineage. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's the lineage of your family, right? But no, like, canvas painters or anything like that. So when you were younger, wait, sorry, I got to shout out my aunt. My aunt Emily, she painted on canvas. Oh, did she? She's good. She was a huge supporter in that. Yeah, that was the thing that she's done all her life. Yeah, and she was like my first supporter. Yeah, of being an artist. Yeah, my aunt. Emily. That's awesome. That's awesome. So were you going to museums and galleries back in St. Louis when you were younger, or was it more as you grew up and you said like 16, you said you wanted to be an artist? Mm-hmm. Is that maybe when it started to get a little bit more serious as far as going out to seek other art just to, you know, to look at and things like that? That's a good question. I haven't thought about that. I must have gone to the art museum, the St. Louis Art Museum, a couple of times as a kid. Yeah. I was fortunate to be able to travel a little bit as a young person. Mm-hmm. Like, my family would take road trips. Yeah. So you'd see stuff, you know. Okay. But it wasn't really until I got into art. Okay. I started looking at, like, Rene Magritte was like my first art crush as a kid. Yeah. Or as in high school. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until I started actually like looking at art. I got into surrealism. Yeah. I also got into street art. Okay, yeah. So we were bad kids. Yeah, you know, we were running around. Statute of limitations is long gone. Yeah, yeah. You know, we were running around spray painting, tagging, you know. Of course. So that was kind of what we were into. And then then there's a couple of really cool institutions in St. Louis. There's the Pulitzer Arts Foundation, which is Emily Pulitzer. They have a Richard Serra twisted steel
Oh yeah.
sculpture.
Okay.
Amazing.
Awesome.
So I got to see some like really cool
Yeah,
stuff. They
yeah.
have like we have a really good Ellsworth Kelly, a couple good Ellsworth Kellys in St. Louis. But I did this early college program at the School of the Art Institute Chicago,
Okay.
which was like between my junior and senior year. And it was just like this intensive figure drawing class. And Eric Ashcraft, he was my professor for that experience. And every day we would spend like an hour in the museum in Chicago, Art Institute Chicago. And systematically he broke it down from like way back to hyper contemporary.
Okay. Yeah.
Just an hour every day for however long that was.
That's awesome.
And that like blew my mind.
Yeah,
Because he was able to share the story.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I don't know if that's what you're asking, but that's what came up.
That's great. No, that's
Okay.
fantastic. Okay, awesome. Okay. Oh, I got kind of lost listening to you. I had a question that I lost it. Okay. Okay. Yes. Now I remember. All right. So in college, is that? How am I phrasing it? Okay. Is that where you sort of develop this style? I mean, as far as these sort of paintings are doing the crowd work, was that something that kind of came over time? Was this even like in your mind when you're in college thinking about, all right, when I'm, out of here and I'm making big pieces, potentially to show, this is the kind of art I want to do?
No,
not
at all.
Yeah.
I can add some context to that if you want.
Yeah.
I was making vastly different things when I was in art school.
Okay.
And then I kind of had that run of working in like marketing and graphic design for about 5 years.
Yeah.
And then I went to Italy for a friend's wedding. And I was in Italy for 3 weeks.
Okay.
And the art that I saw there just like completely blew my mind.
Yeah.
So I came back from that trip and quit my job.
Wow.
And just was like, all right, I'm back at it.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. Hold on. So after art school, then you got the job in marketing.
Yeah.
When you're working at a job, did you think, this is my future? This is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I thought like, I can be creative here.
Yeah.
I can help people here.
Sure.
Because it was helping people. It was healing. Which I like that. I like being with people, helping them. But then I got to be creative. I got to, make whatever I wanted for it. And like we made I co-founded a magazine, international magazine while we were doing that. And we had a conference, and we were just doing a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like this startup energy.
Sure.
And I love business too. Yeah. So I loved growing business. I love growing my businesses. And I was like, I can do this.
Yeah.
But it's just something about Italy and seeing all the art everywhere.
Yeah.
It's everywhere over there.
The architecture there. I mean, it's,
And there's new shows, there's galleries, and like, it was, I saw a Marina Abramovic retrospective, her first retrospective in Italy.
No way. Okay.
There were just happened to be Manifesta in Palermo, which we were at Palermo, and it just was happening.
Wow.
And then when we were in Rome, there was this like New York school show that had these Klein. Like I've never seen a Franz Klein that was color before that.
Sure,
they had some like color Franz Kleins and New York stuff, and then just a bunch of like smaller. But it wasn't like it was like Art Weekend Italy.
That's just. It happens.
It's just
no way.
It's just some week.
Sure.
And that that just made me fall in love with it, and it just really made me fall in love with it. And I love, shout out those people that I was doing that with at that time. We had a lot of great things, but I just realized that like, for me, I was spiritually bypassing my calling.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. Okay, then. When you decide to quit that job, be an artist full time, I know now you say your family supports you now. What was their reaction when that happened?
They have already gotten used to me and my crazy.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. I mean, my fiance Tiffany, she was the biggest supporter of it.
Oh, that's awesome.
She's the closest to it. Like, if I'm broke, it make my dad's life any harder.
Sure.
But if I'm broke, if I'm like,
Yeah.
Having a really hard time, it makes my partner's life a lot harder.
Oh yeah.
And she was just like, we were just talking about it on the plane.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is what's going to happen. Like,
Yeah.
this is what I want to do. And she's like, okay, do it.
Yeah, that's awson. That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to you,
Tiffany.
man.
I mean, without her, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, she's like my number one fan. She's helped me through. It's a hard career too.
Oh yeah.
She's helped me through some really heavy stuff in this career.
Yeah.
But that energy that she had at the beginning, that was like, if you're not going to be happy, if you don't do it, then you got to do it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be with somebody who's not going to be happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's terrific. Fantastic. Okay. All right. So how long after moving out here did you get a chance to show or to get a chance for people to see your art?
I had my first show in Los Angeles this year. When was that? May? Something like that?
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't remember the
Okay.
date. Maybe June? So I had a couple of pieces included in a group show.
Yeah.
Really great gallery. His name is Spencer Walker. It was a gallery that had two shows. It was in the same building as Jack Forbes and Simkowitz.
Okay.
Over the Molif Studios building. So they did like kind of a pop-up. They did two shows to test out that location. Okay. It was an amazing experience. And then now the gallery's moving. Okay. So that was really cool. Because like the first year we were out here, things were still locked down. Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Okay. So I was kind of like, I wasn't even going out for real. Yeah. I went to the Longstreth opening at Nino Mir was the first Nino Mir was the first show that I went to in LA. Yeah. And that was like a year after we moved out here. Yeah, yeah. It was like the first opening that I went to. And so it's just been lockouts, it's been really picking up now. So I'm super grateful for that. Yeah. And like I'll have some more stuff to share soon. Awesome. But I got that show and I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'm showing in LA. Yeah, now. It's a dream come true. Yeah, man. Awesome. Okay. All right. Now, okay, I like to ask this question. If you could take me back to, if you can remember your first sale to someone that wasn't like a friend or family, right? And the feeling of someone wanting your art, all the hard work that you put into a piece, someone saw it and appreciated it enough to buy it. Do you remember that at all? Yeah. Okay. So when was that? And how was that feeling? Yeah, it was one of the really early sanded paintings. Okay. I started making those and they at that time, I started making those in 2019. And at that time I got kind of scared because they were really good. Yeah. Okay. They were there was some paintings because it took me a while to figure out how to do it with the materials. Okay, sure. Get the materials to work. And then the paintings started to get really good. And I was like, what happens now? Because I want people to see these. Yeah. And this is in St. Louis. In St. Louis, yeah. And they just started to have this kind of momentum to them that I started to feel. And I had never really felt that with my art. I never really thought about the commercial aspects of my art when I was, in my 20s, early 20s. Yeah. Because that wasn't what I was doing. But then I kind of started to feel something's happening here. Yeah. I started having people over to my basement or to my garage, which is where I have my studios. Okay. And I just put a post up on Instagram that was like, hey, I'm trying to get some materials for the next set of paintings. Okay. Is anyone interested in buying a painting? And I had a couple of people hit me up. Yeah. And I was like,
Yeah.
you know, and like, they're the homies now, but at that time we weren't really close.
Yeah.
We weren't close like that where they were just like doing me a favor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they liked my work. They had been following my work.
Yeah.
And they wanted to like put up some money for it.
That's awesome.
And yeah, just, it felt awesome first because it's hard to ask.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
It's hard to be like, yo, I'm broke. I'm broke right now. Like, somebody.
Yeah.
But that's the reality of it. A lot of times is like you have to go out there and ask for it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So it was cool because I was able to ask for it, and that was reciprocated. And then I got to have all of the joy of having those conversations, being able to, you know, pack the work up out of my studio, go deliver it, go hang it for him.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And then that relationship was able to blossom because now we have this thing that we share too.
Yeah.
So anytime I'm like, I can just text him like, yo, how's the painting? You know?
Yeah.
Cause I want to know what it's like to live with it.
That's dope. Yeah, man.
And
awesome.
it just like built up our relationship. Okay. So that's really special too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So have they become regular collectors? Have you found it? Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. He collected one piece from me, and then he commissioned.
Nice.
His name's Jacob. I'm sure he'll check this out. So Jacob, shout out to you. He did a commission, and then, you know, he'll reach out from time to time and just say like, oh, I want to get something else for the house or whatever.
That's awesome.
And
that's awesome.
That kind of support, like, I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, man.
You know, it's so special and so meaningful.
Yeah, that's someone that believes in your work and what you do, and really go out of their way to even to have a commission from you. That's fantastic, man.
I have a lot of great collectors. Like, I feel so fortunate.
Do you take commissions regularly?
Not recently.
Okay.
Yeah. It's something that I'm open to, but when people ask me about it, I kind of just say like, well, the inventory is going to be more affordable.
Yeah.
You know, like that's
a good move.
Let's be real about it, because like I'm producing the work that I want to produce, and it has meaning, and it's going in an art historic direction. Yeah. And like, there's value in that.
Yeah.
So then, if somebody wants to commission something from me, it's taking away from the time that I'm spending on creating my practice and the direction that I'm going in. So I usually try to like steer collectors to collect the work that I'm making. But it's also like, all right, like not to get too businessy, but it's, if that's what you want, it's just gonna have a different kind of price point.
Sure.
Because we're gonna have to communicate about it.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna need to make it align with your interests, and that takes effort. And like with my paintings, I paint whatever I want. If I'm happy at the end of it, it goes up on the wall. But if I paint what they want, first of all, I need to get really clear, like super clear on what they want. And then if I get it to a point where they don't like it, I want to make sure that they like it.
Sure, absolutely.
So just making sure that all, it's just like a completely different vibe nowadays.
No, that's true. That's awesome. Because I mean, like these are museum pieces, in my opinion. I really believe so. And I think it would be better. Well, I mean, I am not the one spending thousands of dollars on a painting, but collect the inventory. That's the progression of you as an artist. You know, it's a point in history. Absolutely.
But you know, we can work anything out. If you see something that you like and you want it for your favorite sports team or something, we can work it out. You know,
absolutely,
make it work.
Okay. All right. This interview's going well.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. This is fun.
Yeah. Thanks for taking the time, my friend. Okay. Do you find it hard? Because I mean, these pieces are big, right? And the sanded pieces, those take time, right? Do you find it hard to balance your life here as an artist, time to just experience life and, you know, and go about your day, and having a fiance, is there any time where it's a lot, it's too much, and you get burned out? And then if that is the case, what do you like to do to just kind of, reset for, to reset and start over before, you kind of explode with all the things happening at one time?
Thank you. Yeah. It's a tough nut to crack, for real. Cause like, if I'm not painting, I'm freaking out.
Okay. Yeah.
So I get it on both sides.
Yeah.
Like if I'm painting too much, I can get a little burnt out.
Yeah.
But if I'm not painting enough, I start to get all freaked out. I'm like, what's going on? And Tiffany will be like, you need to go paint.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things that the studio requires aside from painting.
Yeah.
The studio requires administration and grant making and, social media and all this administration, accounting, like taxes.
It's a lot.
Oh, dude, and then networking and, like correspondence and all of that stuff. Sometimes I find that like my administration goes way up, where then I'm spending 80% of my time, 50 to 80% of my time on admin, and 30% of my time on painting. And so it kind of ebbs and flows. I'll say this and then I'll actually answer your question. What really helps me recently is just like being really diligent in my planning and making sure that I'm spending adequate amount of time on the things that I need to be doing. And I'm not overdoing it in one area or another. Because then it creates these imbalances. But when I'm just like completely burnt out, I like to go see family. I like to go home.
Nah, that's nice, man.
I like to go home. Or my aunt Emily, who I mentioned earlier, she's in Minnesota. She's like mom too to me. And I like to go see them or whatever. And I like to travel too, but when I'm like really out of sorts, I just go home.
Family. That's awesome, man. That's a great answer. That might be the best answer I've ever heard. Okay. So when you first moved here, did you initially find it hard to? Let's say after the lockdowns, right? Because that was just a rough time.
We don't even talk about that.
Did you find it hard to maybe meet? Hold on. Were you in this Were you in this building after the lockdowns or during the lockdowns?
So
that will change my question.
I've been in LA 2 years. I've been in this studio for 1 year. So that's after the lockdowns. So 21 was kind of dicey here. You still had to like show your vax card and stuff. 22, it felt like things went back to normal.
Yeah, you're right. All right, so did you initially have any hard times trying to get into a show, trying to meet the right people? And if not, or I guess I'd say second part of this question, have you find like-minded artists like yourself or, someone to bounce ideas off of? I know being in this building helps, but was it hard at first at all?
Are you asking about other artists or like opportunities?
First opportunities, and then I guess second part, just meeting different artists around here.
Gotcha. Yeah. I'm here for the long haul. When it comes with opportunities. There's a part of me that like finds a gallery that I like and I'm like, ooh, I want to get in here. But like that's not how it works. Not for real. I'm here. I'm going to be here for a long time. And what I've learned is that like the best thing that I can do is to support the galleries. To support, to go to the openings, support the galleries, and not be like looking for an in, being hungry in that way.
You're absolutely right.
Because if it's right, it'll happen. Like if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. But we've all seen those sharks swimming at the gallery. And if you've ever been on the gallery side, you know how it feels when somebody's just like talking to you. And even as another artist, when an artist comes up to me and I can just kind of tell they're trying to like come up on my knowledge. I'm like, that's cool. Like I'm an open book. I'll tell you.
But
like I feel that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel that. So
I know what you're doing.
I've had, you know, I get in that spot too.
Sure.
Where I'm like, oh man, this gallery's so dope, and I love these people.
Yeah.
And like, it would be good for my career.
Yeah.
But no, I'm just trying to think about like who I like to be around.
Yeah.
What are the spaces that I can add value in?
Yes.
And like be a part of,
Mm-hmm.
and then you meet people. It just takes time.
Yeah.
It just takes time.
It does.
I'm not going to trip out. Like I keep like the galleries that I go to are galleries that I'm interested in their programming.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's just so many. I can't just go.
So many.
I can't go everywhere. So I just spend my time going to the places where I think that like their perspective on the art world, the way they treat their artists is good.
Oh, yeah.
The work that they curate, their programming.
Mm-hmm.
I try to go to those places, and I just try to go to those places on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And that kind of connects into the artist piece.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm going to those places, and you meet people.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
you kind of have to go out of your way to do it.
Yeah.
Like nobody's, you know, everybody is really there to make a new friend.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
But if you can kind of get over that hump, like nobody's going to be like, damn, I met a new friend.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. You know what? It's funny. I meet someone cool every art show I go to.
Yeah.
Every single
That's
time.
great.
Yeah, man. I've got some people you should talk to actually. Because when you mentioned how a gallery treats its artists, artists out there, please don't let these galleries jerk you around. Okay, there are great galleries, gallery owners, curators that will take care of you. Okay, don't fall victim to some, like you said, some shark. All right, that's awesome. Okay, so now that you've had success, you've got these series going on here. Are you working on anything new? Anything? Well, I guess you won't be able to talk about it now if you are working on something different. Scratch that question.
I'll tell you.
Okay, yeah. So, can we talk about the show that you have coming up in St. Louis?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
We can talk about that one.
Okay, so you're showing in St. Louis. So we kind of talked before. This is your first sort of real showing in St. Louis.
Yeah.
How did this come about?
I feel like every answer I give you is so complicated. It's the life of an artist, right?
It's good. That's
There's
what
no
I like.
simple answer. There's no, I sent an email that said yes. I wish, right?
It's never that easy.
No. So the Luminary is an amazing nonprofit art gallery in St. Louis. In 2020, they supported a project that I was doing called The Travel Agency, which was a live streamed artist-centric show, kind of like a podcast.
Yeah.
But what I was doing was I was teaching artists how to live stream.
Okay.
During the like 2020 to 2021.
Okay. Oh, that's great.
Because there were so few opportunities for artists to exhibit and to get their messaging out at that time. So we needed to do something different. The Luminary and the Andy Warhol Foundation supported our project.
Oh, nice.
In 2020, so we were able to get funding.
Oh, sure.
For these artists, for the artists that came on the show, for the artists that were making shows on the platform.
Yeah.
And so that was amazing. That was the first time I got money for art, like that, like a grant.
Yeah.
And the Luminary has just does really amazing things in the St. Louis community.
Awesome.
So they asked me if I would be interested in participating in Lot 49, which is their annual benefit auction. And exhibition. So that was really cool because it's this amazing way to give back to the gallery, but then also be included in an exhibition. And there's a lot of the St. Louis artists that I look up to are in that show.
Oh, nice, right.
So, and a lot of my friends who are artists who I look up to are in that show. So that'll be in September. The benefit night is the 16th, I think, with the Saturday. So I'm flying there. We go there, and And it's super exciting because I'm going to get
Yeah.
to see my family and my friends, and I'm in a show with a lot of really great artists Vaughn Davis Jr. and Chloe West, and
That's awesome.
a bunch of people that I don't have time to mention.
Yeah.
But Kalaya is is kind of the top dog over there right now, and she's amazing. She helped us out so much through the Futures Fund grant. And she reached out and asked if I was interested in participating.
Nice.
So it was kind of just like she sent an email and I said yes.
Yeah.
But I'm super excited for that one. And it's a sanded painting.
Okay. Oh, awesome.
Part of kind of a new wave in the sanded paintings.
Okay.
So I'm really excited to show that one.
Interesting. Okay. So these haven't been seen yet. These. Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Then and your family gets to see the show too.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Okay. Wow. Man, this is great. Okay, so where do you see yourself staying in LA for a period of time?
I will continue to have a presence in LA.
Yeah, no matter what.
I'll always have a studio in LA.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Okay.
I love it out here.
Excuse
Bless
me.
you.
I'm sorry. Hold on.
One more.
I'm gonna grab one more water.
Okay.
Okay. All right, I'll just cut it back in here. Okay. Do you ever see yourself maybe kind of venturing off, maybe doing some of the other style of arts that you were doing? Like you said, you were doing something totally different in college. Mm-hmm. Do you ever think about maybe deviating from what you're doing or even experimenting into other stuff? Or you've already pretty solidly locked down, the way that you express yourself in art?
No, it's not locked down.
Yeah.
I don't know if backwards is right. I think that there are a few things that from the past that still live inside me.
Okay.
That still find their way out. Right now, I'm in a phase of my creative practice where I think about it as committing to the work.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not dating right now.
Yeah.
Or, I'm not sleeping around.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, it's like I'm in a relationship with the bodies of work that I'm working on.
Yeah.
And they require certain things from me.
Yeah.
And so I can't just be like, I can't hang out tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like we're in it together.
Yeah.
And so I kind of with the crowd series, once I got to 5 or 6 in that series, I started to really, really feel that momentum. Yeah. Similar to the sanded paintings, there's probably around 30 or 50 sanded paintings that have happened. And so when I kind of figured out what I was doing a little bit with the crowds, I felt that momentum. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I'm going to commit to you. Yeah. And then it asks all of these things from me. Yeah. So it's right now it's get 15 to 20.
Sure.
And then reassess.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am making a little change in the materials.
Okay.
There are little tweaks that I'm doing. Yeah. But they're all still crowd paintings. Yeah. They're all still in the same body. Yeah. It's just for me right now, a really small tweak feels really big.
Oh, okay.
In that work. Sure. So I've kind of narrowed the focus. Yeah. But there's still experimentation inside of it. Yeah. But and then there's other fun stuff that I want to do. Yeah. I have rims keep coming up. Chrome rims come up in my work and in my thoughts a lot. Okay. So they'll probably be I want to do a series of paintings of chrome rims, but using pigment sticks. Oh, okay. And blendy, smashy. Sure. But that's I have to just be careful. Yeah, yeah. Because I could do one of those and I could be like, whoa, and then it takes away time from what I've committed to. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So as far as the crowd series, how many do you envision yourself doing? How many do you have now? Because I saw online 11. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. But you have much more plans for the crowd series. Yeah. That's awesome, man. Yeah, I love these paintings. Yeah. Thank you. Incredible. They're getting to a new space. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I want to make like 100 of them.
Yeah.
But I've it's the amount of time that's passed between number 4 and number 11 is exactly a year.
Wow. Okay.
And that's scary.
These are big pieces. Sir.
Yeah, they're big. But that's not fast enough for me.
Oh, I see.
You know?
Okay, you're looking to crank them out a little bit faster.
Yeah, and it's just a constraint, you know? Because then I'm making 8 a year.
Oh, sure. Okay.
So that's not good. It's just not going to work.
Yeah.
You know? And like, I needed that time, and there's lots of other stuff that's going on in my life, and I'm not mad about it.
Yeah.
But now I'm getting to the point where I'm like, okay, cool. Like 1 a month should be kind of like a bare minimum.
Okay, sure.
12 a year. But I'd really like to get it closer to like 20-ish a year.
Yeah.
Because that's enough for a show.
Yeah.
You know, like a solo every year or something.
Absolutely.
And then I'm also, making sanded paintings at the same time at a similar kind of pace. Okay. So then producing like, 40-ish pieces. Yeah. Really good high quality pieces a year.
Oh, yeah.
And then maybe more if they're smaller. Okay. Because like I painted the newest one I posted on my Instagram, the 16 by 16.
Oh, sure.
It took me like a week.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, that was nice.
Right?
That felt good. Because that's awesome. It had been a while since I made a small one.
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't work at scale. I mean, it's
just been getting bigger.
Big size.
Well, there's bigger ones coming too. So
yeah, see, that's why I feel like these are already museums. Like if I saw this in a museum, I wouldn't be surprised. Right? That's why, especially with the size too. Yeah, this one, man. I swear, if I had enough money, I'd buy that from you right now. But
we'll get you on the Klarna.
Absolutely. Okay. All right, man. I asked pretty much all the questions I wanted to ask you. Okay, gosh. Well, do you have a piece called Lights? The crowd painting? Oh, man.
Yeah, this.
And see, and the thing that I like about these crowd paintings, like this, right? It's beautiful. I absolutely love this piece too, man. And it's different from the other pieces, but it's still the crowd. It's still, you can imagine this crowd. I don't even have to know the name of it, and I can tell, oh, I've seen this before in a stadium, at a concert, with everyone. So now everyone has their phones up. No one is using lighters anymore. But another fantastic crowd piece. Do you go to, I don't know, let's say if you're at a concert or if you're at a venue for something, are you scanning the crowd to kind of get the feeling of what's going on, or maybe looking for a little bit of inspiration anywhere? Or?
Totally, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I can't go there now without a camera.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. No, you're totally right. I mean, like anything that we do, like the art definitely has invaded those spaces.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's no just... Woo! I mean, there is still just cheering,
sure,
but there's also like, all right, how am I gonna get somewhere where I can get a good angle, or see something that I didn't see, or paying attention to the crowd just as much as the event, the subject, right? Yeah. And so it's kind of changed my relationship to large events.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Yeah. That makes perfect sense. Yeah, man. I can't wait to see the other crowd pieces. Yeah, man. I can't. Absolutely wait. Okay, I guess I'll get to my closing questions. Is there something that you would like to add that I hadn't mentioned? Please feel free.
There's one thing that, talking about this, I wanted to share with you, since we're here together. Talking about lights is the thing that I think is most on display in this painting is that like the viewer becomes the subject in this painting.
Yeah.
And they're so anonymized. Yeah. But they're recording you.
Yeah.
And you can feel that.
Wow. Okay.
And I want my viewers to think about that a little bit.
Yeah.
When they see the pieces in person.
Sure.
Is that like the crowd has congregated for a reason.
Yeah.
And in some of the paintings there is a reason.
Yeah.
But in some of the paintings the reason is you.
Yeah.
Like you're the reason the crowd congregated here.
Wow. Yeah.
And so then you kind of get this like, because we can relate to these paintings.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I've been in the crowd.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like when you're sitting at Dodger Stadium and you look across, and you just see this murmuration of people and colors, but you can't make any of them out.
Yeah.
You see that, but then you realize that like they see that.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, they're seeing the exact, almost a mirror image of what you're looking at.
Yeah. So then you're kind of like, you kind of feel perfect in that way.
Yeah.
Because when you look over there, you're not like, ooh, that guy's tall, or that guy looks dumb, or like, what is that hat? You're just like, oh, these people are beautiful.
Yeah, they're enjoying the game, like, just like I am right here. Yeah. That's awesome, man.
So then with these, I'm trying to put the viewer in a space of where they can kind of contemplate what it means to be the subject.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for explaining that one. That's beautiful. Okay, all right. So get to my last final questions. A question I like to always ask is, if you could go, what seems like you've been to a lot of places. You went to Italy and you got inspired to start painting again. But if you could go anywhere to be inspired to work, just to kind of be alone, or with your fiance, of course, where would you go?
Really, one of the things that I think would be really special that I want to do is, I have this dream of her and I going out into the ocean on a sailboat.
Okay.
And that being stocked up, like glamping for sure.
Sure.
But just like going out far enough that we can't see land.
Yeah.
And being safe and whatever. But like, I think that I need that after living in LA for 2 years.
I get it.
Like, I think that I find so much inspiration walking in the fashion district or walking in the jewelry district and just being in the beauty of what it means to be in Los Angeles and the terror of what it means to be in Los Angeles. Like how that separation and like, I think that it keeps me in touch with those emotions inside of myself. Okay. But really to like go find some inspiration, I think like somebody let me do whatever I want. I think me and Tiffany, we get on a sailboat out Marina Del Rey, off into the ocean until it's just blue all the way around us.
That's awesome.
For like a week.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great answer. All right. Okay. It's funny. I'm born and raised in Los Angeles, but I love the outdoors. I think it's just because I've been in a city. Like I'm a city kid. In the city my entire life. So whenever I get a chance to just like be out in the woods or be out, like I was just in Joshua Tree not too long ago.
So nice.
Or go to like Big Bear and Mammoth.
I love Big Bear.
Yeah, it's fantastic, so cool. Right? It's such a big change. That's why like if I'm in the city, I go to Griffith Park. If I want to feel like I'm not in the city.
Isn't it amazing how little you have to travel to get that feeling?
Yeah. See, that's the beauty of LA to me. I am a bit biased, but New
York City, good luck.
Really. It's
you gotta drive for 4. You gotta get on a plane, bro.
Yeah, you gotta go. Yeah. But in LA, you could you go to Santa Monica, you go to Venice, you go to Marina Del Rey, you can go to Big Bear, you can go to Joshua Tree, Palm Springs. Yeah, it's funny. That's why I like that answer. Yeah, because that for me it makes sense because it's just different. And sometimes you need that different change of pace to kind of reset. So okay, all right. Final question. It's a 2-part question. Is there any advice you would give to a young artist coming up right now? And also, is there a piece of advice that you wish that you had known when you were younger?
Okay. I'm trying to think of something good. Young artist. I think the most topical, relevant advice I could give to a young artist right now is to make the work, commit to making the work, and just know everything else will come from that.
Yeah.
And like, there's a lot that can distract us right now. Like, it doesn't matter if you have 100,000 followers on Instagram. You can just go buy that.
Yeah.
I get them in my inbox all the time.
Yeah.
Hey man, you trying to come up?
Yeah. Yep.
If you want those followers, if you just want the number, just go buy it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you want the community, you got to make it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I like that. That very true. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Oh, and then for me, coming up,
something you wish someone told you.
it's just really good to be healthy. It's really good to take care of yourself.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, and like honestly, what I would have told myself is that like none of the friends that you make drinking and doing drugs with is gonna do it.
Yeah.
Like they're not gonna be the ones for real that are gonna care about you.
Yeah.
That are gonna be with you when it's hard.
Yeah.
And like I get it, like it's still me talking to me. Like I get it, it's fun. Like this is all you know, this is kind of where you came from.
Yeah.
But like one day you're gonna have to quit.
Yeah. Yeah.
or or it's gonna quit you.
Yeah.
You know, like there's gonna be one day where you have to like get your shit together.
Yeah.
And the sooner that you do it, the more happy you're gonna be.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
so I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah.
Because I'm happy with who I am.
Sure.
But I think, just telling myself like, hey man, like people are gonna love you for you. There's a comedian, what's his name? He just got out of rehab. His special is called Baby J.
Big J Okerson?
No,
not Big J.
No. Man, I'm messing up your whole video right now.
No, it's all good.
But he
can edit around it.
This comedian, he just got out of rehab, and he was saying, like, it wasn't that I didn't love it was that I didn't love myself. It was that like I always felt like I had to just be a little bit more for somebody. And so I thought I was good at comedy. I thought I was good, at being a creative. But I thought I was a little better if I took something. I thought I was a little better if I drank something.
Yeah.
And I wanted to give my best to the people around me.
Yeah.
So that turned into me always drinking something or always taking something.
Sure.
And I like really resonated with me.
Yeah.
Because I just like it's easy to get caught up in feeling like you're just not enough.
Yeah.
And I would probably just go back and tell myself like you're enough.
Yeah, man, that's awesome, man. I like that. It's a fantastic note to end on. All right. Rick, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And I'll see you guys next time.